Hi, thank you so much for coming in. I'm Dr. Novi, and I'll be your therapist. Before we get started, there's just a couple of pretty standard questions that I like to ask all of my clients. Is it okay if we go on ahead and get started with those?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what is the nature of your relationship? Are you brother and sister? Are you just good friends? Are you roommates? How do you know each other? What does that relationship look like for you two?
Oh, we're a couple. Yeah.
Oh, okay. How long have you been together? A few weeks? A couple months? Almost a year? I mean, where are we at with that?
Yeah, like 5 years now, right, honey?
Yeah. Yeah. 5. Yeah. 5.
Oh, okay. Have you both always liked just one person at a time, or um, surely you must have been in a relationship with more than one person, right? Unless this is your first time, right?
Yeah. I've always only liked one person at a time since I was little. In the past, I was in 3 separate, but serious relationships before Jacob. Um, you could say I'm a serial monogamist. So yeah.
And I've only ever really wanted to date one person at a time, but I was too afraid to do so until I met Colton here.
Oh, okay. What do you think caused that? Being in a monogamous relationship, and do you think that this lifestyle that you've chosen is something that you're gonna grow out of? Like a little phase, for a little bit. Do you think and when you do that, do you think is your relationship just gonna pause or end? Are you gonna look at bringing in another partner or two to make it a more traditional relationship? What do you think about where you're going from this lifestyle?
Actually, my pastor, parents, grandparents, pretty much everyone's told me this in my life. But I think that being a monogamist is just how I was born.
Yeah, same. I really feel like it's genetic or something that happens in utero. But really, at the end of the day, like, what does it matter? Like, I love Jacob and Jacob loves me, and that's all that there is, really. And that's all I care about.
I agree that we all need love, right? And we want to have love that feels right to us, and makes us happy. But have you ever thought that it might be easier to explore having more than one partner, having a more traditional relationship like that? Maybe, maybe you mentioned that you haven't had more than one partner before. That maybe it's you haven't been physical with more than one person, and you're not, you don't know what it's like to have your needs met by multiple different partners at one time. Have you ever thought that it might be that you just don't know what you're not experiencing? You haven't found the right one yet. What do you think about that?
Well, I have heard this a lot, but I just don't feel that kissing multiple people at a time or spreading my relational needs across multiple partners is really what makes me happy. I just don't feel that there is more than one true love for me.
Mhm.
I think that having multiple partners is just not right.
Yeah, hold on, Jacob. I think I can also answer this, from a more experienced lens too. As I mentioned, I've had 3 serious but separate monogamous relationships. But what I hadn't mentioned, because I don't feel like it's really important to who I am now, is that I was actually a part of a polyam family, and before that, a part of a triad. And I, tried that out for a time, but I just didn't feel like it was right for me. And so I think if anything was going to make me non-monogamous, it would be that. But here I am. And so I don't think that, even trying it, like you said, is going to, make us not monogamous and make us not who we are.
Yeah.
All right, think we're really getting anywhere with this right now. So let's go on and move on.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So something that we do sometimes in therapy is genograms, where we create a chart or a diagram to model a family, and see what do those relationships look like. We can identify some patterns, some things that might be, challenging or maladaptive. So we can try and, fix those and see, explore those a little more. And what is working really well too. We can kind of find those patterns that are successful and harmful. Normally, when we would do that, we would, just do one genogram for, a multi-partner family. But since you two are, just a monogamous couple, and those, that's not a legal relationship for marriage in this state, I think it'll be best to just do a separate one for each of you because of that monogamy you have going on. Does that sound amendable?
Well, I mean, I guess. Okay.
So Jacob, let's start with you. You mentioned that your monogamy, that lifestyle that you have, seems to be genetic within your family. I'm assuming then that there would have to be a bunch of different examples of monogamy in your family, right? Can we talk about some of those monogamous relationships?
Well, no.
That's curious. Well, Colton, you mentioned a very similar thing. There's definitely lots of examples in your family of that monogamous lifestyle, right?
Well, my mother's grandparents were monogamous, actually.
Oh, that does make sense, actually. So, wondering if you two, are you planning on having children? And if you do, and without the increased chances of having, more than one child that you would just get in having a traditional multi-partnered relationship, not having that benefit. And I mean, hopefully you wouldn't have to go the route of technology to enhance your chances of conceiving. That's, because that's just so impersonal, just wondering, what are your thoughts on that? And making sure that you have, more than one child so that you raise them, with more people around. It would be so lonely without that. What are your thoughts about that and that pattern of monogamy? Are you worried about that continuing beyond you two? And what that would be like for your children, or for your children to grow up having monogamous parents and having to explain that? Have you ever given thought to what that might be like for them?
Let me just stop right
No,
there.
Okay, hold on.
That's
What?
silly.
Well, look at that. We're actually just out of time right now. So I'm going to see you again at your next session, and we can go through the rest of the questions that we haven't gotten to yet before we can get to what brings you to therapy in the first place. All right?